Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. Today I took a shot at the 50-state speedrun world record attempt with no intention of beating Chicago geographer's 19-minute and change world record, but hoping to just get second place. So really just shooting for sub 37 here, which is the second place record, which I thought was attainable. I think I can probably go sub 30 to be honest, but this round, well, I didn't really get two kind of drops, and I was really just shooting to get sub 37, and I did that, and here's the video. So I hope you guys enjoy. So in this first round, I landed, and well, I wasn't really feeling it. This obviously wasn't my first try, so I just kind of like yeeted it for Virginia, but I got it. So I was like, all right, that's a good sign. Let's keep it going. Second round, I thought saw some Idaho plates, saw the 208 code, so that was pretty quick. There was even an Idaho State sign down the road. This round, I thought I saw some North Dakota plates, but then I saw the 605, which I knew was South Dakota, saw Rapid City, and yeah, I saw a few South Dakota plates and went for it. Third round, I saw 803, wasn't sure what that was. Looking at these plates, I was thinking probably South Carolina, but I wasn't entirely certain. I wasn't confusing them with Georgia plates, the new Georgia plates. In hindsight, I definitely could have gone for this much earlier if I had just really taken some time to look at 5 or 10 plates. But yeah, I continued to go through. It looked like we were in a state capitol based on that building, so I figured we would see something pretty soon. But we didn't, and I looked at this plate and this plate and said, you know what, those look very South Carolinian, and I went for it, and sure enough, we were in Columbia, the capital. Fifth round, we landed on a rural road that I thought it was going to be like Oklahoma, but we didn't have this little thing on the stop sign. That's what I was looking for, actually. So I continued to go about looking for maybe some license plates. State highway shield would be extraordinarily helpful, of course. Yeah, so I was just heading south a while. Decided I would take a look at this truck's license plate. I thought it was maybe North Carolina, and it was a mail carrier. So, I was thinking, okay, whatever it is, that's definitely where we are. But I wasn't entirely sure because North Carolina looks a bit like Louisiana, which is that sign I just came across. And that finished my first 5 in about 2:15. So a solid pace as I hopped into the next 5. This one we landed on a highway, state highway probably. Went to this sign. It said traffic info, so nothing there. Unless you know where 16:30 a.m. broadcast to, which unfortunately I did not. Went over this river. I was just looking for some tags maybe. Came across a travel info sign, nothing there. Wasn't sure what adopt a highway one of this was. I don't have them memorized like Chicagopher does. But well, now I'll have to keep this one in the back of my mind. It said Elizabeth here, and then it said Mid Delta Regional Airport. So I was definitely thinking Mississippi at this point because, well, Delta first and then second. Mississippi just has like horrible signage. Like Mississippi and Arkansas are the two states, in my opinion, that far and away have the worst signage. And I hadn't really come across anything except for that. Finally, I came across a sign that said Greenville, Greenwood, had a couple of interstates. So I went into Mississippi. I never heard of Greenville or Greenwood, although I see them both on the map now, and found the state highway, plopped it down. This one said Celebrate Racine. I knew that was in Wisconsin, on the east coast of Wisconsin. Quick one there. This one we landed in a nice little town. It looked kind of like a college town, really. But I wasn't sure where we were exactly. I was looking at these plates, wasn't really too sure on them. Decided to jump over here, maybe. Oh, I thought I saw a Delaware plate, but there weren't a lot of them, right? I was only seeing like one Delaware plate. I thought maybe 2 of them. But this said Dover Public Library, which I assumed we were in Dover, and sure enough, we were. So that was 8. this ninth round, I'm from Maryland. I've seen those towns in Maryland before. I wanted to make sure we were actually on the Maryland side because I knew they're out west, and we were right over the river from West Virginia. Sixth round, or 10th round. I don't know why I said sixth. Anyways, this one I think took a while. So I'd like to say if anyone knows how to help me install the state counter, that would be extraordinarily helpful because otherwise I have to keep track in my head, which takes up space I don't have. Anyways, there was a main sign there. Good enough for me. That was 10, and that round was about 250. So that was another solid round. Not as fast as the first, but good. Anyways, yeah, so if anyone can help me with the counter, greatly appreciated. Here, we had the 307 area code, which I now know is Wyoming, but at this juncture in the game I didn't. Luckily, this sign said Wyoming on it, and bada bing, bada boom. Next round, we had the sign right here that said Town Center, Charleston. So I wasn't sure whether we were West Virginia, Charleston, or South Carolina, Charleston, but if you look all the way down the road, those look like West Virginia mountains to me, and so I went for it. And there was a West Virginia plate, I'm pretty sure. Next one, we had, I think it said Salt Lake City there, which I missed, interestingly enough. But soon enough, I came across another thing that said Salt Lake City, if I remember correctly. It said one Utah Center, so I was pretty sure it was going to be Utah. I just wanted to make sure, and it said State Capitol and University of Utah, which is in Salt Lake City, of course. Next one was looking at these plates. I think I decided this was an Indiana plate because the other one looked like a Maryland plate. And I remember that there's a Maryland-esque plate in Indiana. In addition to that, and we were right on the border, so I got lucky there, right on the Wabash River. This one we had a Maryland flag. I ended up being in Frederick, and so that was 15 down. That was my fastest split of the day by far at 136. And this next 5 was a bit tricky. So here we had Columbus, and I knew we weren't in Columbus because I've landed here before, and I guessed Columbus on a 50-state streak, and we weren't. But I don't remember where we actually were because, well, I didn't remember because I didn't get it right. Anyways, so we came across this river here, like a drawbridge. I decided I would go into Columbus anyways because I thought, well, maybe I'm misremembering this, and look for these 2 streets, East Walnut, but I wasn't seeing them here by the river. So eventually I said, let's forget that and look around for some more clues, but you'll see me struggle for a bit. Anyways, I don't know my state flags also really for the most part, so that's challenging for me anytime I see a state flag. I was really struggling here, and I was getting frustrated. I was really ready to click Ohio, because I was just getting annoyed. Got an area code, I wasn't sure. Oh, but then I saw it said Green Bay on that sign, which for whatever reason it didn't say on the other banners. So I quickly went up into Wisconsin and got it. That was 16, I believe. Next one, we were in the Southwest U.S., of course. Sun sites in Douglas on 191. I was thinking Arizona just based on the look, and I thought Douglas was there. I found 191, but I couldn't see sun sites or Douglas, and I'm not even seeing them now that I look at it. So I decided to scroll up through Utah. Didn't see it there. I didn't really think we were any further north in Utah, but I figured I'd give Wyoming a look anyways. But I didn't see these towns, so I went off here, and it said 10. We were at the intersection of 10, which meant Arizona. So yeah, I went for that. And I still don't know where Sunsets and Douglas are. Next round looked like Appalachia to me. We had the 828, which I wasn't sure of. And so maybe looking at these plates. Wasn't really sure what they were either. Continue down the road. to Cherokee County, so I figured we were somewhere along the Trail of Tears, probably. But I wasn't sure where, of course. This thing was a church, I think, National Day of Prayer. Nothing looking there. But so if we're on the Trail of Tears, I was thinking probably like the Smoky Mountain area, and sure enough, we came across a North Carolina like outline there, and we were right by the border with a couple other states there. This time we landed on a river. State Route 32 and Coal Creek, and the killing of the unborn must stop, according to that sign. I didn't want to dwell on that for too long, although it gave me an idea of what half of the country we were in, if you saw that sign as well. But like I said, that it didn't really narrow it down, because really, I mean, you could even be in a state that's particularly blue, like you could be in Maryland out west, and you could see signs like that probably. Anyways, so I was thinking Mississippi vibes again because no signage, but it didn't really look like Mississippi. It looked more Midwestern, to be honest, or Mid Atlantic for that matter. So I was really thinking Illinois, because they had the state route thing, and if I remembered correctly, Illinois has state route signs like that. Although sometimes it actually says IL route something, so I wasn't entirely sure. And the corn looked like that region, like Illinois, Indiana, and Western Ohio. It's kind of distinctive looking. I went to look at this license plate. Couldn't really catch anything there. And this said Indiana 32, so that was helpful, of course. And sure enough, we were in Western Indiana, right by the border with Illinois. This next round spawned, there were a lot of plates, a lot of Northeastern plates, some New Jersey, some New York. Wasn't going to go for it immediately because I've made that mistake far too many times. We're seeing the white ones, which I forgot at the moment were old New York ones. I was thinking they could have been like Massachusetts or something. But eventually I decided that I'd seen enough New York plates, plopped it down, and that was a 5-14 split. So a pretty slow split there, but just trying to get sub 37. 20 down. And at this point, I'm at like 10 or so minutes, I think. Hold on, I have to add it up. I wrote down the split somewhere. Anyways, this time I'm going on a road. Definitely thinking like the plains, like up in the north, maybe one of the Dakotas. This is Golden Eye Reservoir. Never heard of it personally. So we were at about 12 minutes through 20 states. So not too bad, not too good, to be honest. That fourth set of 5 was really a challenging one for me. Anyways, continuing south along this road. Wow, I'm stupid. I just realized I have like a on this voiceover, I can see how long it's been. Next passing lane, 3 miles. Anyways, I was not getting any help here on this round. Came across this thing that said adopt a highway, and it said Club of Casper, I think I made out. So I said, all right, I think I've seen something like that in Wyoming before. So I went in for it. Bada bing, bada boom. Next round looked like a classic southern round that was going to be challenging on a state highway somewhere. That thing said 204, and it was a funky sign, which kind of made me think Texas. And then I looked at the asphalt, which also kind of made me think Texas. That county road thing also made me think Texas, but I don't think I quite had the guts to do it right away because I was already at 21, and I had already had a couple frustrating mishaps in the mid 30s earlier in the day. But eventually I decided to just go for it, I think, in eastern Texas. And yeah, that's what I did. Next round, again, looked pretty southern. Looked at this plate, wasn't sure. This plate looked different. Now I'm looking at it, that plate looks kind of like a Tennessee plate, although I don't think we were in Tennessee. I don't remember. I'm doing this voiceover I think 2 days removed from the actual run because I was pretty busy. Anyways, this sign said City of Covington, Tennessee speaker. So it was actually Tennessee. And that thing told us where their speaker lived, which is kind of weird, I guess, but good for him. Anyways, we're coming up on the halfway mark here. This is round number 24. And I wasn't really seeing anything here. Sometimes when I don't see stuff and I'm in like a city, I kind of freeze up, which is bad. There was a J there or something, so I assume that we were in a place to start with a J. Like I said, I don't know my state flags, which I should know that one. I really should memorize all of them that aren't like the ones with the Navy backgrounds that are easy to memorize. But I didn't know that state flag. If that even is a state flag, it might not be. And I couldn't. It just says J, a Main Street community. I thought it was going to give me the town name, but it didn't. So I headed back north. Saw the 870, which I thought was Arkansas. And I saw Jonesboro. Oh, I guess I didn't think the 870 was Arkansas. I know it is now, but it said downtown Jonesboro there. So I was looking for that. Thought maybe West Virginia. Didn't see it there. Not sure what I decided to do here. Because I gave up and then I ungave up and was like, wait, it's in Arkansas. And then, yeah, I found it up in North Arkansas. '25th round, finally got an easy Hawaii one. I've been waiting for Hawaii or Alaska the whole time. Plopped it down, halfway done at 17 minutes. So on my way to sub 37. And that last split was about 4.5 minutes. This round I landed, couldn't quite make out what that said on that sign, on the like actual shield. Obviously I saw it said James Street. I'm just trying to get out of this little neighborhood and onto the main street in this town, but I found 2 dead ends, so I said no, I'm gonna go the other way. Finally made it out. This thing said Sturdy Memorial Hospital. Obviously, I never heard of it. And I finally came across some of these squares, which made me know that we were either in Maine, Massachusetts, or Connecticut. At first, I was going to go Maine when I saw that green one, but I went to the left and saw a bunch of Massachusetts plates. So I put it down and we were over there. Next round, I came across a couple of plates that I looked at, which this one I wasn't sure. This looked like a lot of secondary state plates. This one looked a lot like one of the main plates. So I was definitely thinking Maine, which matched up with the foliage. So I decided to head west in search of an area code because I know Maine's the 207. I didn't get one there, but I did get a square sign, which was good enough for me. So I went for it. Next one, it said City of Mill Creek on that sign. Never heard of it. That looked vaguely like a Utah plate, but I wasn't sure. I decided to look at these. Thought maybe we weren't in Mill Creek, which was silly. We were clearly in Mill Creek. My speed was 25 apparently, so kudos to the Google car for driving at the speed limit. I was trying to just head out of here and see some like, I don't know what I was looking for. In the end, we did end up being in Utah, which makes sense. I feel like a lot of time in Utah, you get stuck in like neighborhoods, and it's hard to get out onto any sort of main street. Here's another plate that looked pretty Utah, and yeah, I decided to just go for it. I think. Next one, we landed on what looked like the Eastern Seaboard. Had a New York plate. Wasn't going to be baited by that. Had a lot of New Jersey plates. We were looking south, and then I realized that this was Cape May. I actually went there this summer. Great town. You should visit sometime. So yeah. Next one, we were on a, I was guessing probably an interstate, pretty big highway in the middle of nowhere. So I was just looking for an exit. Right here, we came across the 59 and the Oklahoma 10. So I went into the Oklahoma 10, plopped it down, and boom, that was about 20 minutes for 30 states. And that last split was 340. Next one, we landed at the Port Polson Inn. So I assume we were in Polson. I saw a Canadian flag. I was thinking Idaho. This looked a lot like McCall, Idaho, which I've landed in before. Kind of similar town. But then I think I came across an area code, yeah, right there. That was not the 208. It was the 406. Which I wasn't sure, but it said Flathead, and then I was pretty sure it was Montana because I think I remembered that being Montana. Anyways, I was going to look for more, but I decided that Flathead was enough for me, which I knew was in the north by Idaho. There it was, and I did see Polson at the bottom of that lake, which I, for whatever reason, felt the need to click. That was 31. Here we had a Planned Parenthood, which was obviously in stark contrast from those signs in that Tennessee round. Was that Tennessee? No, that was an Indiana round. Sorry. I was pretty sure this was California, just based on geography and the plates matched up. But I wanted some sort of like, I don't know, I wanted something to confirm it because we were getting pretty late game. I messed up on 31 exactly earlier on the day. But I saw like a Spanish road name and I was like, all right, that's good enough for me. And we were in Santa Barbara. Next one, we said Dakota Bank. So I was thinking probably the one of the Dakotas. This thing had the big A, and it said Avera Hospital. So I was thinking we were in Avera. I thought about going in, but we had what I thought were a lot of South Dakota plates. Had this buffalo thing, which I feel like you see a lot in South Dakota. Yeah, eventually I decided I'd seen enough South Dakota plates. I was going to go for it, and we were in Aberdeen, not Avera, South Dakota. Next one looked again. I thought it might have been South Dakota plate. I'm really bad at telling the difference between like South Dakota, Wyoming, North Dakota plates. Like all three of those really I struggle with. Anyways, if it was South Dakota, I was gonna go in. I looked at the sign. It said US 85, and I looked at that because South Dakota always has really good signage. They're the best signage state. If you ever land in eastern South Dakota, you'll almost always land at the intersection of some road with the state highway, and they have great signage. So I was thinking South Dakota because, of course, 85 goes through it, but I didn't want to, I didn't want to eat it because, like I said, this was round 33. I wasn't ready to do that yet. Luckily for me, I didn't eat it. And I came across a sign. There was another Adopt a Highway sign. This time, I couldn't see it there, but I could see it here. It said Cheyenne chapter, just like that Casper chapter earlier. So I quickly corrected myself, went down to Wyoming, felt the need to zoom in for some reason, and got really close. So that was kind of cool, actually. Next one came up on the 406, which I remembered from a few rounds ago with Montana, and it's like a border crossing. I just wanted to double check that we were actually in Montana. And then I realized this was the Canada border crossing, which I'm not sure that's everything I thought it would be. Anyways, it got really blurry. I remember that we were at exit like 397, so I just zoomed into Montana and went there to check that it was actually 397. And it was, so good enough for me. That was 35 down. That last split was about 4 minutes. And this was my worst five of the day. This upcoming five. This one I saw a scenic byway sign. That's something well, I don't know if you only see it in Maryland. It's something you see in Maryland. I'm from Maryland, obviously, and I recognize the sign, but I was worried that maybe it actually exists in other states because this didn't really look all that Marylandish to me, if I'm being honest. And I wasn't really seeing any. I mean, I'm sure they were Maryland plates, but they weren't like jumping out at me as Maryland plates. So I wasn't really sure, to be honest. But then I came up on this realtor sign that had the 410, which of course I know is Maryland because, like I said, I'm from Maryland, and that was good for me. Next one, I was trying to read this thing. I couldn't really get a good glimpse at it. It's a Baptist church, looked like the South, so I was definitely thinking Southern here. Here we came up on a sign that said "Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful," which is decidedly not Southern, but good enough for me. And I agree. Let's keep Pennsylvania beautiful because that's a beautiful sign that they just gave us. Next round, we landed on a long highway. And this was another one where I could have guessed earlier on, but I didn't want to risk it. Um, Anyways, I was trying to get to an exit. This looked pretty like Idaho to me. It's a pretty distinct look in like southeastern Idaho with these big mountains, but it still kind of looks like Wyoming. And then this truck had an Idaho thing behind me, and then it jumped in front of me. I was like, oh, a second Idaho plate. But then I realized that that was the same truck. So had I not realized that, I probably would have guessed Idaho because two Idaho plates and the Idaho geography looks a lot like Idaho. But I continued to go until I think I ended up finding a road sign that was a Idaho State Highway shield. So you'll see me struggle for a bit. And this right here, I finally came up on it, was a Idaho state sign. Next round, landed in a rural area. This thing just said pass with care, so I wasn't really sure what that was, what state we were in based on that, obviously. I gave up after going in that direction for a long time. I said I would head in the opposite direction. I saw a green sign almost immediately. It said Oakwood. Never heard of Oakwood, obviously, where it's a tiny, tiny town. Um, Came up on this. Trying to look at the plates here. It said Brandon was the other town. Have that adopt the road thing that I didn't look at. I think it actually had the state thing on it. Hold on, let me rewind that real quick. Upon further inspection, it's a bit challenging to tell if it actually said anything on there. So I'll give myself a gimme on that one. Um, Oakwood again, of course. Still didn't know what it was. Continued to head west. No, east, not west. I have trouble reading a compass sometimes, which is, I suppose, an issue if I really want to be good at geoguessr. Anyways, this round took me a very long time. Like I said, this was my most time-consuming round of 5. Finally, came across in Michigan. State highway sign, good enough for me. And I should have known. It said township. Township you really only see, I feel like, in New Jersey is a big one. In Michigan, I feel like are the two big ones for townships. Coming up on number 40, I believe, right here. I was thinking those are either Ohio or Wisconsin. I couldn't remember which one was which with the corner red versus the center red. I was pretty sure it was Wisconsin, but I wanted to get confirmation. And I came up on this, found it, and went for Wisconsin. And so that was about 29 and a half minutes for 40. That was 5:30 that split. Like I said, it was a bad one. And yeah, so I knew I had to get under 37. So I knew I had 8.5 minutes for these last 10. So acted accordingly. Saw a bunch of Idaho plates. Went for that pretty quick. So that was nice. This one looked like Appalachia. It said Hancock Town Hall. That said Massachusetts, obviously. But if you remember earlier, Hancock is one of the towns up in Western Maryland. So I thought, maybe it could actually be Hancock. Because it certainly looked like it could be Western Maryland. So I know I saw the Massachusetts thing, but I was feeling a little iffy. But then I came across the square, which obviously was Massachusetts. Although I got a bit worried that it could have been. I did get a bit worried it could have been Connecticut, because that's happened to me before. Because they're so small. Hancock's actually right there on the border with New York. But I went for it eventually, and yeah, I think what swayed me is I saw 41 out there in Western Massachusetts, and knew we were on the 43. This one said Spokane Falls, Spokane Airport, and so I figured we were in Spokane. Just double checked that we weren't going to be on the Idaho side. Around 44, it said Dakota London. I was thinking one of the Dakotas, perhaps. This said the 480, which was not either of the Dakotas. South Dakota 605, and North Dakota is, I think it's 770 something, 701 maybe. I'm not entirely, I forget. Like if I saw it, I would know, but I think it's the 701. Anyways, I couldn't quite make out the town name on there, but it says, I just saw Scottsdale. I don't know how I missed that. It says Scottsdale on that sign, which is obviously in Arizona. But eventually, this right here says Scottsdale Boulevard, so I figured probably in Arizona, given the geography. And just wanted to confirm. Found it. Wanted to make sure it was actually a Scottsdale Boulevard, which of course there was. Why would there be a Scottsdale Boulevard not in Scottsdale? You know. And then this 45th round had a couple county names here. DeWitt and Marion, I think, was the other one. Never heard of either of them, of course. Headed south. And I'm not sure what spurred me to do this, but I decided to check out the rest area for once, which I never do. But I decided to do it. I was like, maybe there'll be something here. Almost took me out of the rest area. Went through, and this pretty sign right here said, keep it clean for Illinois visitors, basically. So that was awesome. And that was 45, and that was about 32 and a half minutes, and that was a 3-minute split, which left me with 4.5 minutes to get the second place, sub 37. This right here said Spokane County, which we just saw like 2 rounds ago, so that's pretty funny. Figured we were probably in Washington. It looked like Eastern Washington, and I went for it. Around 46. Or I guess this is 47. We landed in a suburban area, and I wasn't sure where we were, of course. I didn't check any plates, which I should have. Maybe I did, and I just couldn't recognize them. And this said U.S. Postal Office, so I was hoping I could get in here and check it out, because normally you get the town and state name on the postal office. But I couldn't find it. This said 5 Oaks, West Park Academy. This one said 6 Oaks or 7 Oaks, or I didn't. Maybe it didn't even say Oaks, but I knew that was not the town name. 5 Oaks. I was getting a little nervous here, because obviously I was getting close to 37 minutes, and I really didn't want to go over that. I was at 30, a little over 34 at this point. And I couldn't find anything. I finally zoomed in on this, and it said Dayton, Ohio, which was a lifesaver. So I went in, and that was 47. 48, I landed. It looks like probably a Rust Belt city. It said Michigan right there in big letters, but I wasn't gonna go for it because, like I said, it was late. Looked like a Michigan plate though, so I was getting pretty certain. But I just wanted to like get one more confirmation, whether that be an area code. Although I'm not sure I know any area codes in Michigan. Actually, no, Western Michigan's a 615, like around Great Rapids or whatever, Grand Rapids. Sorry. But then it's an Upper Michigan law, which is the Upper Peninsula, of course. And we were in the big city up there. I don't remember what it's called. I got a bit nervous at this round because it looked pretty rural. There was no area code there, which made me a bit less nervous because that meant that we were probably in a single area code area, like Maine, which is what I was thinking. And it wasn't Maine. There was a New York highway sign. So that was fortunate for me. And then this last round, at this point, I was at 35 and a half. And so I had about a minute and a half to bring it home. And I was hoping I can do it, but this round was not a gimme, unfortunately. But we had the 580 and we had the Oklahoma Shield on there. And so that was good enough. That was 35.54, and that last split was about 310. Hope you all enjoyed.